We're counting down 7 pricey cars that hide surprisingly affordable engines under the hood. From luxury sport coupes to exotic badges, you'll see just how common these power plants really are, and why buying the cheaper sibling could net you nearly identical performance for a fraction of the cost. Which badge charges the steepest premium for the same core engine? Let's kick things off with number 7. The Toyota GR Supra 3-liter wears a legendary badge and commands a premium, but under its sculpted hood sits the same BMW B58 3-liter turbo inline-6 you will find in the M340i and M240i. All three use the B58 B30 long block stamped right on the engine, with internals and architecture nearly identical across the board. Factory horsepower ratings are so close, within 5%, that a stock M340i dyno curve often matches the Supra's, especially after a simple Stage 1 tune. Yet the Supra typically costs about 35% more on the used market than a same-year M340i, and insurance quotes for the Supra can be hundreds higher per year, simply because it is classified as a 2-seat sports car. Parts are interchangeable in most cases, from injectors to sensors. For anyone chasing pure performance, the cheaper BMWs deliver the same pace, the same tuning potential, and a much friendlier total cost of ownership. The Supra's premium is mostly for the badge and styling, not for a unique engine. Audi S3 8V promises premium performance, but the real story sits under its hood. It uses a 2-liter EA888 Generation 3 turbo engine, the same core unit found in the Volkswagen Golf R and even the much cheaper Golf GTI. Parts. Catalog screenshots tell the tale. Cylinder heads, sensors, high-pressure fuel pumps, many carry identical part numbers across the S3, the GTI, and the Golf R. The S3's official 300 horsepower rating looks impressive, but a basic Stage 1 tune on a GTI pushes it to 310 wheel horsepower, matching or even beating the S3's numbers on the dyno, all while costing thousands less. On the used market, the S3 typically lists for around 30% more than a Golf R from a similar year, and insurance premiums follow the badge. Maintenance. Independent shops often source Volkswagen-labeled parts for S3 owners to save money, since the hardware is the same. For anyone after real-world speed, the badge and the interior are what you're paying for, not a special engine. The numbers and the parts bins do not lie. Lotus turned heads when it fitted the Evora with a Toyota-sourced 3.5-liter V6, the same 2 GRF long block that powers the Toyota Camry and Lexus ES. In the Camry, this engine is tuned for smooth, reliable family duty, making around 268 horsepower and paired with a front-wheel drive, 1,600 kilogram sedan. Lotus, though, saw an opportunity. They bought the same basic engine straight from Toyota, dropped it into their lightweight mid-engine chassis, and added their own intake and exhaust, and on the Evora S, a supercharger that pushes output to 345 horsepower. The result is a sports car weighing about 1,380 kilograms, with a power-to-weight ratio that leaves the Camry and ES far behind. Gavin Kershaw, Lotus's ride and handling chief, has explained in interviews that the decision was about reliability and parts availability. Lotus did not have the budget for a bespoke motor, but could transform a proven Toyota 5.6 into something special with calibration and chassis tuning. Still, the numbers are clear. The Evora costs at least 3 times as much as a Camry with the same engine family. Here, the premium buys you more than just a badge. It delivers handling and weight savings and a unique driving experience. But if you only care about the engine, a used Camry or ES gets you the same core hardware for a fraction of the price. The Corvette C6's LS2 V8 is the stuff of legend, but the same 6-liter Gen 4 block, the same bore, the same stroke, the same deep skirt aluminum architecture sits under the hood of the Pontiac G8 GT and the earlier GTO. On paper, the LS2 in the Corvette is rated at 400 horsepower, while the G8's L76 variant comes in at 355. But the G8's L76 is not some watered-down cousin, it gets rectangle. Port heads, modern electronics, and AFM hardware. The short block is fundamentally the same, and tuners know it. Add a cold air intake, long tube headers, and a tune. And G8s regularly put down 330 to 360 wheel horsepower, right in the ballpark of a stock LS2 Corvette. At the drag strip, a tuned G8 GT can run in the low 13-second range or even the high 12-second range, matching C6 times when traction and driver are sorted. Yet on the used market, the G8 GT usually lists for half the price of a clean C6. The LS ecosystem means parts, upgrades, and swaps are everywhere. For straight-line speed, you are getting Corvette-grade muscle for family sedan money, all thanks to GM's habit of sharing the good stuff across the lineup. Porsche's entry into the SUV market brought the Cayenne 3.2-liter VR6, a luxury badge on a platform and engine that came straight from Volkswagen's mainstream lineup. The heart of the base Cayenne is that VR6, a narrow-angle V6 engine originally developed by Volkswagen and found in the same era Touareg. Both SUVs ride on the PL71 chassis, sharing major components beneath the surface. The VR6 block, cylinder head, and even many ancillaries match part numbers between the two brands. The Cayenne's 247 horsepower and the Touareg's 240 horsepower are separated by little more than a software tune and a badge. Yet the Cayenne's original sticker price landed roughly 40% higher than a comparable Touareg, and that gap has stubbornly persisted in the used market. Inside, Porsche fitted unique seats, steering, and a different gauge cluster, while brakes and suspension tuning were tweaked for a firmer, more Porsche-like feel. But the engine bay tells a different story. Same VR6, same layout, even the same casting marks. German business press at the time covered heated debates within Porsche's boardroom. Engineers and marketers clashed over the risk of diluting Porsche's identity by sharing so much with Volkswagen. Despite the controversy, the Cayenne became a sales hit, but for buyers chasing value, the Touareg delivers nearly the same mechanical package for a fraction of the price. The premium here buys you the badge, interior, and subtle tuning, not a special engine. Acura's ILX 2.4 wears a luxury badge and a quieter look, but under the hood it is hiding a secret that Honda fans know well. The same K24Z7 engine found in the beloved Civic Si. Both cars use the identical 2.4-liter IVTEC four-cylinder, stamped K24Z7 right on the block. Factory output is 201 horsepower and 170 pound-feet of torque, matching spec for spec. Honda's own parts catalog tells the story. Internals, sensors, even the 6-speed manual transmission on early ILX models all cross-reference to the Civic Si. On the dyno, stock for stock, there is barely a difference. Tuning shops regularly show ILX 2.4s putting down the same numbers as their more famous Si cousins. The kicker is price. On the used market, an ILX 2.4 often lists for 20% less than a similar mileage Civic Si, simply because it is seen as a grown-up sedan instead of a tuner icon. Mechanics swap parts between the two without a second thought, and the tuning community treats the ILX as a sleeper, ready for the same bolt-ons and ECU flashes. For anyone chasing value, the ILX 2.4 delivers the same K-Series experience for less cash and with a little less attention from car thieves and local law enforcement. It is proof that sometimes, the badge and the hype are all you are really paying for. BMW's original M2 arrived with all the hype and all the badge power, but under the sculpted fenders sits a story that is as much about the accountant's spreadsheet as the engineer's sketchpad. The M2's N55 B30T0 engine is not a bespoke M creation. It is a strengthened version of the same N55 3.0-liter turbo inline-six found in the M235i and 335i. Same aluminum block, same head casting, same basic architecture. What BMW M did was swap in a forged crank, uprated pistons, and a more robust oiling system, including a second scavenging pump for track work. The turbo, fuel system, and valve train are still the familiar N55 parts, just with a spicier tune and extra cooling. On paper, the M2 claims 365 horsepower, but what matters is what happens on the dyno. Tuned M235i's and 335i's, running off-the-shelf software and pump gas, routinely put down 340 to 370 wheel horsepower, often matching or even beating a stock M2's numbers. The torque curves overlay so closely that even seasoned tuners have to double-check which car is on the rollers. That is not just theory, it is proven in shops and at track days around the world. The price gap, though, is real. On the used market, a clean M2 can list for 40% more than an equivalent mileage M235i, and insurance rates follow suit. The only real mechanical advantage for most drivers is the M2's extra oiling and cooling for hard track use, features that matter at the limit, but not in daily life or on a straight road. For anyone chasing pure performance per dollar, a tuned M235i or 335i delivers nearly the same thrust, the same tuning headroom, and all the reliability of BMW's proven N55 architecture. Here, the badge is by far the most expensive part. Across all 7 entries, one truth emerges. Premium badges often mask the same engines found in far cheaper cars. The real performance isn't always in the price tag, it's in the engineering. For car buyers, that means value hides in plain sight. Choose wisely and drive smarter.